So we're watching some of the biggest news today, and of course one of the bigger news that happened late Friday, just a few hours ago, is the announcement by Axiata and Telenor. It's actually a joint announcement but made by Axiata solely. They say that the merger talks are officially over. No more talks, no more merger. So multi-billion-dollar merger that was exciting everybody, including people here in Esrawani. By the way, we've had Jalil, the newly appointed PNB CEO, Jalil Rashid. He was actually on this set talking about the merger. Who knew that 3 months down the road he will be made PNB CEO?
Okay. The question is, why was this merger important? For somebody who's kind of not in the story, right? Why is it important? And what does it mean? I mean, mergers and acquisitions happen all the time. They often happen to benefit the shareholders, the main shareholders. They sometimes benefit minority shareholders. They often do not benefit the people working for those companies, because with many mergers have come job losses. So that seems to me a typical scenario. Was this the scenario that was going to pan out if Telenor and Axiata came together?
All right, I see where you're coming from, and I think those points are valid. But why this merger, or this, I guess, proposed merger was actually important is because it touches on two elements. Number one, it's an important industry. Telco is the future right now. No longer oil and gas, no longer all these big boys. It's actually telco. Why? Because telco coincides with the technology sector.
Right, that's your important. FANG stocks. Okay.
Yes. Betul lah tu. Yeah. Wait, you said that with sarcasm. Anyway, the second point is because it involves a public listed company that is government related. And Celcom is within Axiata, and Celcom hires thousands of people and employees, and this is where it matters. Whether or not this merger is going to see job cuts. And we have to acknowledge that Axiata again and again have said that there will be no job cuts. There will be a retention of jobs despite the merger taking place, should it take place, which we know it doesn't. But they have given that assurances. The fact that they have to give a reasserted assurance again and again that job losses are not going to take place clearly tells you something about the comfort level or the anxiety level that is currently happening with people in Celcom.
The pattern of mergers and acquisitions globally, right? But okay, tell us, were you surprised by the failure of these talks? I mean, that it so quickly was wrapped up?
Okay, first of all, it's not that quickly wrapped up. 4 months was a long time to actually iron things out. Number two, the writings were already on the wall.
The writing was on the wall.
The writing was on the wall, okay. What was the writing? That was on which wall, right? The first is that the Indonesian Minister of Communications, if I'm not mistaken, did say that they were taken aback in terms of announcement. Because why is Indonesia in this mix, right? Axiata is big in Indonesia. Axiata has the Axiata XL or Robi XL, that company. And that company was talking about thousands of people, of Indonesians being hired there. What is going to happen to their jobs, number one. Number two, the conversation of, was there political will? Was there a conversation of our political leaders, whether or not Tun Mahathir had a hand in it, whether or not Gobind Singh, being the Minister of Communications, have a hand in it? TM, what's the future of TM? Those kind of political will conversations was already being marred by notions of they were not in the know, they were clueless about the whole idea. Were members from Axiata or Telenor talking to the political leaders in the markets that they're operating in? Because again, Sharaad, I want to reiterate, this is not a merger of just two companies per se. This is a merger of companies that are in multiple markets. They are in Indonesia, they're in India, they're in Dhaka, they're in Sri Lanka, they're in everywhere, right? Including that of Malaysia as well. I don't know, because of the fact that they weren't consulted, or they weren't consulted enough, or they weren't given enough political assurance, therefore there was no political will for this merger to take place. That's the reason why I believe that the writings were on the wall, that this merger might not be able to get through.
All right, fascinating story there.
It is fascinating.
It is a fascinating story about global mergers and companies.
Right.
Well, okay, maybe we can talk about another one.
We can talk about another one, which is not that global, but still has a local flavor to it. Everybody knows about Crazy Rich Asians.
Yes, Crazy Rich Asians, because, you know, stunning success for a story kind of based in Singapore, based on a novel written by a Singaporean. The story here now is the back end, right? The screenplay, the people who wrote the screenplay, there were two individuals, a man and a woman, one white, one Asian. Apparently, the gender pay gap issue arose in it because discovered that the Asian woman was paid 8 times less than the white man. So this, of course, blew up, and in discussions over the sequel, she's decided to opt out. She's a Malaysian, by the way.
Yeah, okay. Her name is Adele Lim, and Adele was indeed paid 8 times lesser than the male counterpart. I don't know whether this is called causation or correlation. And I'm not trying to be dismissive about the gender pay gap. I really do realize there is a gender pay gap. My wife is indeed paying less in terms of the industry that she's working in compared to her male compatriots. And that is something serious I need to address. My question is, did she not sign on the contract? Did she not agree
so you could make the argument
to that kind of payment?
Yeah, you make the argument that it's a willing buyer, willing seller situation, and she willingly got into it.
Was there coercion?
No, I mean, it doesn't have to be coercion. The question is, why are people paid differently, right? And if you feel that
you pay more than me.
Yes, that may be true, but the point here is that if women are systematically paid less for the same work that they do, we have a problem.
Okay, we do have a problem.
We do have a problem. We have a social problem.
The question is whether or not it's right for her to opt out. I mean.
Well, that's her choice, right?
So that she does have a choice.
Of course, she has a choice, and she chose to go public with the story. Yeah, in the sequel, she chose not to take the job.
All right.
Right? Okay.
Final story. We got a final story.
We do have a final story.
United Nations Pula. University of Malaya. There's some news on University of Malaya. You know this story better than I do.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a story of students for the first time in 40 years. So the times are changing, and university students, the student union had its a convoy marking orientation week, something that they have not done for 40 years. They had a convoy, and the theme of the convoy was, let's not have a racist Malaysia. So it's students reject racism. I think it was a fascinating gesture to make as their inaugural orientation convoy 40 years after this practice.
For those that keep a close eye on student protests, particularly that from Universiti Malaya and other institutions within that same, I guess, stature, there are images that recall or harkens back to, say, Ibrahim on a truck. There's pictures of
Hishamuddin Rayes,
you name it, right?
The heyday of student activism in Malaysia.
Back when there was still no internet, right? Let alone Twitter. But is this a resurgence of student activism coming back? We know that student activism is a big deal in many countries. It was a big deal here in Malaysia. I don't know why it went away, but
we have the UCCA,
repealed right now.
Yes, and all these things are being repealed, and there's a sea change in terms of how young people are going to be treated in this country. We know already we had that constitutional amendment, so that 14-year-olds today are going to be voting in the next general election. So altogether, the young people of Malaysia are starting to emerge as a potent force in a way that perhaps they have been subjugated over the last 40 years.
And the signs are there, again, let's use the whole writings on the wall. The signs are there that there will be greater involvement of political activism among students because of the youth being allowed to vote right now. We're talking about up to 9 million Malaysians, new voters, are going to be able to vote come election 2023 expected, GE15. We're looking at 9 million new Malaysian voters. I'm sure they're going to be activated in terms of political awareness. So those are the kind of things that we can, I guess, look forward to.
Yeah.
These are the conversations that are currently happening for this week and, of course, today. If you've missed any part of this interview, just look out for Consider This on astroawani.com. That's it from me. I'm signing off. My name is Ibrahim Sani.
I'm Sharaad Kuttan.
Until next time, goodbye.